Hey everyone, so another talking head today. I'm actually trying out a new mic altogether. I've got a Rode shotgun mic on the top of the camera here because I really wasn't liking the room sound that I was getting with those DJI wireless mics, and one of the reasons why I didn't want to use them for the OBS streaming. There's a few things I wanted to talk about today. First of all, I went to the music store yesterday to get that PodMic USB. And when we got there, it was an open box unit which was really scuffed and stuff, and I didn't feel right or good about paying full price for an open box unit, so I've ordered that online. That should be here in the next 2-3 days, along with the Elgato low profile arm, so hopefully that will be a nice improvement in my setup. So in terms of what I've actually been doing today, I have been working on my website for Banshee Interactive, which is currently password protected. I'm sorry guys, but it's not quite front facing. I think that when I talk to people online, like on Facebook and Reddit and stuff, I think that they get the impression that everything needs to be public facing or social or one-to-one. And whilst there's definitely elements of that channel here, and I want that channel to be like that, that's not what the Banshee Interactive brand really is. It's not meant to be a public-facing entity in that sense. This is a public-facing devlog. But I'm very proud of what work I have done on the website today, and I've initiated some conversations with Steam, so I'm hoping I will get a reply back in the next sort of 3 to 5 days regarding that. But you know, this is definitely going forward at a faster clip than I thought it would. I thought that this would be a very slow, drawn out process, and in many ways it is, in other ways it isn't. I don't want you to confuse my setup upgrades with the game itself. And like I said, in my mind, a game isn't code. Code is like, if a game was code, then why do games get remade? Wouldn't they just build the newest code and then do the newest thing? Games get remade from anything from Metal Gear Delta, which was Metal Gear Solid 3, to Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2. They get remade because a game isn't code. Code is just how it's made, right? It's the story, it's the protagonist, it's the antagonists, it's everything. And the gameplay loop is just the one interface into that world. And that interface has to be good, and it has a place. I'm not saying that code, you can ship a broken game, no. Like, the code is is everything and nothing at the same time, and I'm not a coder. I'm not a programmer, and to be honest, I'm not that tech literate. I came up shooting film cameras. I'm an analog person, I've got some ideas for some concept art, and I'll be using, I just bought this yesterday, which is a fresh Sakura brush pen. And I'm not great with the brush pen, but I want to be great with the brush. I can't even say it. I'm not great with I can't. Like I said, it's a different beast. Being in front of the camera, presenting is a different beast to thinking. When you're there thinking and you're like, oh, I've got this idea, and nothing stops you from just getting it out. But now I've got a camera. It used to be the camera used to be the thing that got my thing out, right? My thing. This is just gonna be a meme. This is gonna be a joke in the future. But I used the camera to get my ideas out, but now the camera is the thing that's like in between me and my ideas, so it's very meta in that sense, but I kind of like it, and I think I'm just in a good mood because like I said, I'm happy with what I've done with my website. I'm happy that I've even initiated talking to Steam, to get these discussions going with the right people, and in this industry, right? Because like the last time I was in this industry, I was a PlayStation rep. This was around the time that the Evil Within came out, actually, and I was a PlayStation rep for, what was it, the PS4? It must have been the PS4 back then, and this was just before bought Game Station. So that's exactly the moment in time that it was. And it was my job to talk through the holiday offerings, right, and talk people through the games, and it was a very front of house thing. So that is like my last experience, and you know, it was more than that, because we get to know all the PR teams, get to know the marketing teams. Like the beautiful people at Konami UK sent me the poster, the band one. They had a bunch of the band posters, you know, the one where Quiet and Venom Snake are covered in blood. They sent me that, so I still remember that to this day, and that's just something where money can't buy it, right? A real one. I mean, anyone can sort of print off the artwork and stuff, but money can't buy a real one. I had that framed in my office in the UK for a long time, and I gave it to a friend before I left, which kind of comes full circle, because my friend gave me this before he left for China, which is a Yashica twin lens reflex. He said he didn't have room for it in his suitcase, which is just nonsense. Thank you very much. If you're watching this, I don't think you are, because you're not into this sort of video game stuff, but if you are, thank you very much. I can't afford to put film in it, so it just sits there as a reminder that we aren't alone in this world, right? We aren't alone. And I can feel that way, and I know it can feel that way, because whether it's photography or now video games, you know, a normal person's daily life is very different. And even, you know, I spend a lot of time on Reddit, and I'm going to spend more time on Reddit trying to learn about all this. And there's such a gulf between, you know, AAA employee, indie solo dev, and they're just like normal people, right? They're just normal people, and I'm a normal person. I'm a normal person. I wasn't born with a silver spoon, but I like to think that the way I present, it doesn't really matter how I present myself. I don't really care about that, but the way I present, say Banshee Interactive, or the way I present my prior brand, D. Roberts Photo, you know, or if I'm working with a company, how I present their product. But I'm not looking to partner with anyone on this channel. It will be very easy for me to pull into my contacts and go, you know, I used to do this for magazines, I used to review lenses for magazines, I've got a new site, can you send me some stuff? I think that I could quite easily do that, and I think that 8 out of 10 people will reply back with a yes. But I don't want this to be what this channel is. I want this channel to be organic. I want it to start from zero. I want it to be about the ideas that I've had since I was a kid, you know. And like, I grew up in the Welsh Valleys, and I was about an hour away from Bristol, and I really, really wanted to join Free Radical. Free Radical design was like everything to me. Ninja Theory was an impossibility, because how could I ever move to Cambridge? Like, Cambridge was like a different world. Yet here I am in Thailand with Banshee Interactive, something of my own, you know, something of my own. And to me, that's more valuable than a paycheck. That's more valuable than security even, you know. As long as, and this is another reason why I'm going to be fully transparent with you folks. This is why I'm on YouTube. A lot of it is because I want to share. A lot of it is because I want to find other people who are making games, and maybe we can work together, right? That's why I'm doing this. This is my bat signal, trying to get people in and talking, and that's what I want. Like, comment in the comments, send me stuff, send me links to your artwork, send me links to your writing. Let's talk, let's chat. This is exactly what I want out of the channel. You know, this isn't a monologue as much as Banshee is. The game is. My game is mine. But this is a conversation. The YouTube is a conversation. So yeah, where was I? Now, this is where I start forgetting stuff, because I go off on tangents and stuff. But like I said, I've got Banshee now. And this is the reason why I'm doing YouTube, because I can sustain Banshee as a solo dev. Like, if it comes to that, if it comes to that, I can sustain Banshee as a solo dev indefinitely on a very mediocre YouTube audience. You know, I think that between 10 and 20,000 subs would be enough for me to keep going full time forever. With 50,000 subs, definitely 100% I could. But I don't want to train the algorithm to show me to people, like if I hit up Corsair Thailand and said send me a scimitar and I'll do a beautiful video with B-roll with my Sony G Masters and I'll give you footage to use, I'd then be forced into them saying, well, we want 16:9 vertical TikTok, we want this, we want that, and I'm an employee again, right? I'm an employee without the benefits of pay, salary, anything like that. So I'd rather build this channel up and this algorithm to get to know me for what I want to be doing, which is the dissections. And I've come to the realization that these dissections, I think, are going to, on average, take about 4 to 5 days. I think that the average game that I enjoy playing is probably going to take 3 days to capture. Say if I do 3 full days, that's 8, 16, 24 hours. I think I can get most games done in 3 days. Then I'm looking at another day on editing, voiceover. If we say a week, let's say a working week, so from Monday to Sunday, I could probably put out 1 dissection, and that's where I want to be, right? That's where I want to be. But if I do that, then the learning process becomes so slow, it becomes so tedious, because it takes me a week to figure out how something's going to look. Whereas if I can do this, I can go, okay, so I rambled there, or I really like talking about this there, or I need to go in depth there, or this needs its own video, and I can work through it like this. So I hope you do apologise for this, but again as well, it's sort of limited by what technology I have. I'm using the camera, using the mics with the camera. In 2 to 3 days, that's not going to be a problem. I'm going to have the Rode, and then the Rode will be attached to this full time, and hopefully that will be one weak link fixed. But I wanted to talk today about one specific moment in time, and this thought came to mind to me today, and I was like, I have to turn the camera on and talk about this. And it's 2 things, but it's the same thing, right? Because I was like, I got some concept art. I want to do some concept art for my game. I'm not a great artist, but only I can get what's in my head out, right? I can get it rough, and then I can give it to someone, and then they can take it to the next level, right? Once they understand, okay, it's blocked this way, it's composed this way, it's lit this way, the mood is this, and then they can take that to the next level. And what I want, and this is where I hope you will like, subscribe, comment, push me in that YouTube algorithm, is because I want to make a studio, right? I want to pitch this, I want to get funded, and I want a person to do that. I don't want to put it into Grok or whatever and say, I've done this and this is what I want, and then for them to gen something up. Like, that to me is not art. But working with someone is, because those people are going to take their life experiences, what they love, and put it into it as well. So it's going to become more than what I originally envisioned. That's the idea. But again, I was thinking about this one moment in time. It was 2017. We had just come back from Japan, and when we were there, everything was Tokyo Ghoul. It was everywhere the way that Demon Slayer is now, except unlike Demon Slayer, I think Tokyo Ghoul is something special. There's something about it, about being an outsider in both worlds, that I think a lot of people connected to. I think that it drew into some subcultures, like the metal subcultures, with that distinct visual style, and like I said, that sort of outsider perspective, and so I came back to the UK, and I was like, alright, I'm going to watch Tokyo Ghoul. So I watched Tokyo Ghoul, and that scene, spoiler alert, at the end, where Ken Kaneki is carrying his friend, and it's snowing, and there's all the soldiers, and there's helicopters, and there's sky-rise buildings, and I thought to myself, I could never, what are the circumstances in life for all that to coalesce, for me to even get a shot half that intricate? Like, I can't, not in photography. The only way that I could get something like that is by coming out with my own hands, my own head. You know, I can't do that by observing. So that was a fundamental thought process for me, where I realised very quickly the limitations of my given medium. You know, unless we're talking, but even then, like Sweet Home or something on Netflix, you know, the sets and that, it's not the same. It's not the same. It just isn't, you know. And then the second one was, after watching it, I bought the manga, and volume 2, didn't even open it, just looked at it, and there was a picture of Tuka on the front, and to this day it's still my favourite cover. And she's just there, and she's sort of looking right down the lens, and it's this weird perspective. It's not quite wide, it's not quite close, but there doesn't have to be a speech bubble, there doesn't have to be any, you know, writing at all, and that image alone showed exactly who Tuka was. And I don't know, those two things came into my head there, and I was like, let's get drawing. So that's what I'm going to do today. Wish me luck with my conversations with Steam. Please support me on here. Myself personally, I'm not too interested. I'd rather someone watch it and enjoy it for what it is than sort of fish for something that I don't believe in. But I believe what I believe in will save this industry. Like I said, I want collaboration, I want communication, I want this to be a human thing, and I don't want it to be a small thing. It's small right now, but everything starts small. Everything starts small. Just keep an eye out and let's see where this goes. So, as we always say on this channel, this is Banshee Interactive. I'm David Roberts, and remember, this is not a simulation.